It's not worth it if you have a kidney disease.
It's not worth it, period. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the PEDS that Chris Bumstead, the Mr. Olympia, used to use versus the ones that he uses right now. We're going to go over how dangerous they are, the effects they have, and see, is Chris Bumstead actually safe? And so my favorite YouTube guy to watch, Nick Trilogy, is back with bullshit of bodybuilding, and he did a video talking about what Chris Bumstead admits to having used in the past. And so Chris describes how he's bodybuilding, but being safe about it. Remember, he's not natural, and so can he, in fact, actually be safe? Well, let's stay tuned and find out.
Before you guys go to the dark side, make sure you push your body to its limits first with training, nutrition, and proper over-the-counter supplements.
And I think it goes without saying that I'm not a doctor and that you should only be using performance-enhancing drugs with the advice and consent from your doctor, and also never break the law. And before you do any of that stuff, well, there are a host of various supplements that you can take to help increase your gains. Looking for those, code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description.
Do you have any concerns about longevity? You know, you've done an awful lot of extreme things to your body over the last decade.
Remember, Chris Bumstead has an autoimmune kidney disease, and he hasn't been natural since the age of 18, almost 10 years ago.
I mean, I think if you're a bodybuilder and you don't worry about that, you're either stupid or lying, to be completely honest.
And so Chris's response, if you're not concerned with your health and you're a bodybuilder using performance-enhancing drugs, then you're actually an idiot or you're just lying to yourself. And so, of course, he's concerned.
But I just manage it as best as I can. You know, there's blood work you can get done consistently. You know, diagnostics now are absolutely insane. If something's going on with you, catching it early.
And so Chris says, well, yeah, I get a lot of blood work done. I do diagnostics. And so I can see whether I'm healthy or not. And if I'm not, I'm going to retire at that point. Nick Trilogy's opinion, on the other hand, says, why would you ever take that risk? You've already won the competition 4 times, and so why are you still going? Well, I'll answer that, Nick. It is extremely difficult to give up doing something that you love. The thing you love most in this world, the thing that gives you the most joy, how can you suddenly take it away from someone? And so whether it's good or bad for you, it's very difficult to give up something that you're perhaps not physically addicted to, but you're mentally addicted to. Think of the dopamine release upon every single victory that Chris Bumstead gets. And so it's easy to say, if I won the title, the championship, if I became the best in the world, I would give it up for my health. Yeah, right. No one's doing it. I've never seen someone win a Mr. Olympia title and then retire. Name one. Has anyone ever won the title and said, hey, I've done it. Time to retire. Time to get off all the performance-enhancing drugs. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, the list goes on and on. People aren't quitting once they get to the top. Once you're on the top, you want it that much more.
So I do a lot of diagnostics and blood work and make sure I'm getting healthy. And ever since I was sick in 2018, my blood work's kind of continuously improved.
I don't believe that for a second.
And so Chris says his blood work has continued to improve. Nick, he doesn't believe it. Me, personally, I do. I do believe that Chris Bumstead, because of the height, weight restrictions in classic physique, that the use of drugs as he got older could actually go down. He states that he used to use Tren to prepare for his competitions, but that he no longer needs to use it. And Tren, being one of the more dangerous anabolic steroids, is not the most dangerous, but one of the worst. If he cuts that out from his Constance prep and replace it with something a little bit safer, for example, Masteron or Primo, then I do believe he could have improved blood work while continuing to abuse performance-enhancing drugs. Remember, Chris is not on HRT, and just because his doses are perhaps lower than in the open classes doesn't mean that he's not on abusive doses. And just because he's getting his blood work done, getting monitored, does not mean that he's safe. Every year you continue to abuse performance-enhancing drugs, it makes your risks that much worse.
That's when your body starts to really fall apart. It's not right now, but when Chris stops bodybuilding, that is when you'll have a rude awakening.
If you in fact wait until your health markers fall down before you retire, guess what? it's too late. If you're preparing for competitions year after year and you finally retire because the doctor says, oh my goodness, this is so bad, you simply can't do the show this year. If you've made it that far, it's way too far. You've already done permanent damage. And so my advice, get out before it's too late.
And I truly believe Chris is being very, very silly by continuing going after more Mr. Olympias after he already won 4.
And so Nick points out Chris has a business set up. He's got it made. He doesn't need to win any titles. He's got close to 20 million followers. And so why would he continue to go after it? Well, I've already stated the reason. It's the dopamine, the fun, the joy, the excitement. That is what he lives for. It's what he knows best. It's what he loves to do. And so how can you take something away from someone that they love passionately this much? And what have I stated in the past? They need drug-tested Mr. Olympia. Imagine if they had a drug-tested category. Next year, we're going to be drug testing all of the athletes. The Mr. Olympia, the Mr. Classic Physique, Men's Physique, and so on. Suddenly, there would be a new avenue. People could go drug-free, such as Chris Bumstead, who's worried about his health, perhaps lose 20 pounds of muscle, but so what? He would still look amazing, and have the title of Mr. Olympia natural to look forward to. Imagine the difference that could make.
But no, we don't want to do it. Coach Greg has stupid ideas. Who would ever want to watch a natural competition?
I would. Imagine Chris Bumstead next year in a natural show. Would you not want to go and watch that? Which one would you watch more? I personally would be more excited to see what Chris Bumstead looks like natural in a year than I would to see what he looks like right now.
If he was perfectly healthy going into this, I would say, go for 10, go for 20, but he's not.
And so Nick says if he was perfectly healthy, go for 10, go for 20. Nobody can be perfectly healthy if you're abusing performance-enhancing drugs. No matter what people say, you're not perfectly healthy. When I was on my max doses, blasting test, trend, and so on, I didn't have perfect blood work. My liver enzymes were elevated, my LDL was too high, and my HDL was too low. And so no, it wasn't perfect. After I cycled off, of course, it got back to baseline. But that doesn't mean it was healthy. And so anyone abusing performance-enhancing drugs, there's no way you can convince me that your blood work is perfect. It's not possible. And so could Chris go for 10 or 20 titles? Well, the answer is yes. If they had natural bodybuilding competitions at the Olympia, he could then stop the drugs, show people that you can in fact do it natural, that you can look amazing without the drugs, and imagine the difference that would make on the millions and millions, as The Rock would say, fans around the world. Millions! People would suddenly say, wow, look what you can accomplish without steroids. It's incredible. But because there are no natty bodybuilding champions that people respect, people just don't stay natural. Yeah, there's a few out there. A few guys are natural compete that no one's ever heard of, perhaps a few dozen. But in the real world, people are looking to the Mr. Olympia to see the best athletes in the world. And so why doesn't the Mr. Olympia simply have a drug-tested category? Have we not seen enough deaths as of now? Do we not think we owe it to the athletes to allow them a drug-free avenue in order to compete in? I think we do. And do you think that the majority of people who work out are on steroids or that they're natural? I know that when you're a bodybuilder on steroids, many of your friends are doing the same, but for the most part, most people around the world are actually training natural. And so if you have a drug-tested natural bodybuilding competition at the Mr. Olympia, for the most part, that's going to cater to the majority of people training around the world. And so for me, it seems to be a smart business move, one of which more people can associate with. Look at the guys in Men's Physique now. They're bigger than classic physique bodybuilders. They're too big. How can you relate? Look at Jesse James training with Jeremy Bundia. Jesse James, 100% natural versus Jeremy Bundia, Men's Physique, and Jesse's getting dwarfed by him. Why is it that guys of Jesse James' size can't be competing at the top level shows? There should be a Men's Physique category that represents the average guy, what the majority of guys would like to look like.
And this is going to be the toughest pill for you guys watching to swallow, because he really paints a nice picture right here for you.
The toughest pill to swallow is that it's going to be nearly impossible to stop taking performance-enhancing drugs. When you're used to seeing yourself as Chris Bumstead is 6'1", 250, 260 pounds of muscle, perhaps 10% body fat, going down to 240 at 4% body fat, it's very hard to then go natural and perhaps weigh 220 pounds. Although it's still massive, it's still amazing, it's not nearly as big as you were when you're at your best, at your peak on the drugs. And so that tough pill to swallow is that you cannot abuse drugs forever. You're going to have to go off. You're going to lose muscle to get smaller, lose a lot of your strength, and have to deal with how that feels. And trust me, it is not easy.
He has to come in 100% or he will lose. You guys think he's going to hold back for the Mr. Olympia title?
And so technically, I don't think Chris needs to come in at 100% to win these shows. I think he's winning by a landslide. And so I do think he can continue to do these shows without taking Tren, without taking halotestin, some of the harsher drugs, and using things that are slightly safer. For example, Anavar. Not saying Anavar is safe, but I am saying it's probably a lot safer than taking Halo. And consider this, just because you're taking Tren doesn't mean that you're in a more dangerous cycle than somebody just taking Test or somebody taking Test and Primo. For example, if you take 100 milligrams of Tren a week versus somebody taking 1,000 milligrams of Masteron, do you really think that the person taking Tren is more dangerous than the guy who's taking 1,000 milligrams of Mast? It doesn't work like that. It's not just the drug that you're taking, it's how high is that dose going to be and for how long?
What are the things that for you are like off the table with regards to this is too much, this is too risky for me?
The biggest one is like Tren.
And so notice he says the biggest one is Tren. It would have been way better had he listed several of these drugs. For example, I don't take Tren and I no longer take Halo. Halo was a great hardener, got me amped up before the gym. It dried me out big time, but I'm not using Tren anymore. I used to take Winstrol, but to me that's a little bit too dangerous. And so now I use Anavar only. And that perhaps he only goes on cycle before the show. And that in the off season, he goes on doctor prescribed HRT every single week. And so the more details he give, I do think the better. In Chris's opinion, it's better to not say things because if he does say what he's taking, he believes a lot of people will copy that. And so what I do believe is people are going to do it anyway. Whether he says what he's taking and at what doses or not, people are still going to do it and likely are going to assume his doses are a lot higher. For the most part, people think that all pros are taking the biggest doses in the world, when in fact people at your local amateur show who are not even winning could be in fact taking much more than the Mr. Olympia champion.
The good old trend that like there's guys who literally like base their social media off that now. It's just like a meme of the internet, of the gym culture.
And so Chris is warning people about Tren, that guys are basing their social media accounts about Tren. Guys with the name like Tren Twins, obviously it makes people think, well, I want to use Tren. But what you need to understand is it's not just Tren. People are thinking, yeah, Tren is bad. Let's avoid Tren. Tren, that's the drug that causes problems. But it's all of them. I think it's a mistake for people to just think Tren is bad, but I can do all those other drugs, no problem. I'll be safe. Tren, yeah, I'm going to stop using that, but everything else, that's on the table. I don't care about the rest.
The other chemicals we're using to build muscle and get in shape aren't dangerous either, especially when you have an autoimmune disease and you have a kidney disease.
Autoimmune disease or not, if you abuse performance-enhancing drugs, especially for years, it's going to have an effect on your health.
So if this is what he has to do to convince himself to not lose sleep at night over it, that's fine. I understand. He's doing this to make sure his mind stays in the right place.
And so that's often something that we do. We convince ourselves that we're doing is okay. We want to self-justify the things that we're doing so that we don't feel guilty, so that we don't lose sleep at night. That is human nature. And so perhaps he's saying, hey, I'm not using Tren. I'm getting my blood work done. I'm getting monitored. And so all the drugs that I'm taking, it's not going to affect me. But the truth is, it is. And so if you're listening to this, you might be quick to judge. Oh, I don't do steroids. Yeah, but what do you do? Do you drink alcohol, a known carcinogen? Oh, I won't take aspartame. That might cause cancer. Oh, I won't drink Diet Pop. That's bad for me. The WHO, they said that aspartame causes cancer. Yeah, who cares? You know what's worse than Diet Pop? Alcohol. Are you using recreational drugs? Are you smoking cigarettes? Are you drinking? Or perhaps you're staying up late or breathing the air outside, because did you know those things are worse for you than consuming Diet Pop? You know, breathing the air outside, staying up late, shown to be more dangerous at causing cancer than aspartame? And so really ask yourself, what are you doing to your own body that you don't allow yourself to be treated like a temple? We all have our vices. We all have our things that we're doing that are not perfect. Perhaps you don't eat a healthy diet. Perhaps you're not doing 150 minutes of cardio a week. Perhaps you don't lift weights. Well, get up off your ass and do something to improve. It's not about being perfect. It's about being better than you are. Can you do better today than you're doing yesterday? Better tomorrow than you did today? Chris no longer uses Tren and he's monitoring his blood work. That's better today than he did yesterday. Perhaps tomorrow he'll do even better.
But I don't anymore. I just haven't touched it in like 5 years.
Why?
Just the toxicity it causes in your body.
And so what Chris says about Tren, that's exactly what he can say about every single steroid that he's currently putting in his body. It's what he can say about every steroid that I put on your body. There's no steroid that's 100% safe. And so unless you're being prescribed testosterone HRT from your doctor because you need it, you shouldn't be taking anything. Get it?
People say they feel like they're on top of the world when they take it, but to me, that's not really worth the health risk anymore.
I mean, do you hear what Chris is saying about Tren? It makes you feel on top of the world, does all these toxic things to your body. That's what every steroid does. You don't think I felt that way when I took Anavar, testosterone, Masterone, Primo, EQ, Deca, the list goes on and on? Of course I did. But do you know which drug I felt the worst on? It was Tren. Felt like garbage. It didn't make me feel on top of the world. It made me feel like I want to stop taking it. I hated it. Made me not sleep. Felt irritable. Did not like the way it made me feel. And so you might be thinking, oh, I just won't use Tren. Well, every other drug you can list, it's going to cause negative side effects that you don't want to have.
Yeah, all the other compounds, they don't add up to being just as bad as Tren. If he really thinks this, which I know he doesn't because I know Chris isn't dumb, I lost all respect for Chris.
And so Chris doesn't think this. He just has to convince himself that he's okay. You can't blame the guy. He's abusing his body with performance-enhancing drugs to win the Mr. Olympia title that he's already won 4 times. The guy's a multi-millionaire, loved by 18 million fans, probably more. But he loves bodybuilding. It's very addictive. It is hard to stop. When you are the best in the world at something, to suddenly just give it up. Remember, he's only in his 20s. Why would he want to retire? And so when you're young, you feel invincible. You think it won't happen to me. I'm getting my blood work done. I'm getting checked by a doctor. And so I'm good. No, you're not. At least accept the fact that, yes, I am doing this to my body. I accept its risks, but it is in fact worth it to me. At least it is right now. Perhaps when you're older, you'll reflect on your past and think, well, I shouldn't have done those things. It wasn't very smart. I've done this. But when you're young, you're not feeling like that. But remember, when you get older, I'm 47. When you look back on your past, you're going to have some regrets. And so please think about it right now.
And just because you copy what he's doing now, it doesn't mean you're going to have the same success. Be careful. It's not worth it if you have a kidney disease.
And so to me, that was a really strange ending by Nick. It says, it's not worth it if you have a kidney disease. It's not worth it, period. And if you're looking for the #1 healthy supplement you can take that's not banned by WADA, has no known negative side effects, remember, it's not a performance-enhancing drug. It's GO2 Max, the main ingredient, NMN, double-blind, placebo-controlled human studies have been shown to work dramatically to improve your cardio, to improve the heart, the #1 muscle you need, recover faster between sets, have more energy. Code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description. And before I go, don't forget Cookbook 3.0. It's out, hard copy and PDF. If you have no money, head over to my website anyway, giving away a free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages in length. All you got to do is enter your first and last name and your email address, and you get it 100% free. And so you have no excuse. Get over to my website right now. Don't forget, code Greg, 10% off for all the supplements and all of that. Subscribe, click the bell button, like this video if you liked it. If you liked it, you owe me a like the video. Watch one of the 2 bloops, and of course, cookbooks, training books, coaching plans, my team, Circle, Dive, Book, Heart, and Last Time clothing line. You can get all that at the website, code Greg, 10% off, and until next time, I'm out.